Ja, herzlich willkommen zu einer neuen Runde SI-Interviews Vancouver, September 2018. Und fast jedes Mal, wenn es sich ausgeht und er Zeit hat, wenn ich in Vancouver bin, mache ich ein Interview mit Bradford Cooke. Er ist der CEO bei Endeavour Silver und ist bei sehr vielen anderen Companies engagiert. Und er hat einen sehr guten Market-Einblick, was tut sich am Markt. Und es war Glück, dass ich ihn auch noch getroffen habe. Es ist ja mittlerweile schon mein letzter voller Tag hier. Denn es ist parallel eigentlich am Anfang der Woche die Denver Gold Show gewesen und er war natürlich mit seiner Gruppe und hat die Company präsentiert. Und deswegen freut es mich trotzdem, dass er Zeit gehabt hat. Er ist gestern erst zurückgekommen von Denver und er wird uns jetzt einmal ein bisschen Insight geben auch vom Markt. Brad, I say this in my German introduction. Always when I come over and you have time, we set up for interview. And this time it's very interesting. You're coming back from the Denver Gold Show. So that was in the beginning of the week. And maybe you can say us what's happened in Denver. When I look out of the market and see the share price for the most stocks, I'm really frustrated. So how was the mood in Denver?
Well, I'll tell you that during the first day of the Denver Gold Forum earlier this week, I was actually very concerned because I have the busiest meeting schedule I've ever had.
Mm-hmm.
We did 32 meetings in 2.5 days, and the attitude was consistently upbeat. Now, and I was asking myself, don't these people know this is the bottom of the market? With the metal prices bumping along bottom, there's a disconnect here.
Mm-hmm.
What's wrong?
Yeah.
But I did have a chance to think about what's different this time, and I realized that the last time we had this crash in metal prices and stock prices, the entire industry was not prepared for it, and so there was shock. And we all had to defer long-term investments. We had to cut our operating costs. We had to add cash to the treasury to just survive the downturn in 2013, 14, 15. But you know what? Here we are, 2018. The metal prices have returned to bottom, but the companies are fully prepared for it.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no shock value this time.
Mm-hmm.
We actually have already done our cost cutting. We have the money in the treasury, and we can weather this storm. So I think that's the difference, is that there's no shock this time.
Yeah, that's good. And normally I'm a little bit shocked when the most people are more optimistic on the market, on this kind of market, in this environment of the market. Do you have more meetings with fund managers or talking with other companies, or are fund managers still there?
Yes. So on the pleasant surprise side of things, I had, of the 32 meetings, about 18 with real institutional and family office investors. About half of them I've never met before.
Okay.
So that was a very good surprise. The other part, it's also an industry conference, so we're networking with companies, we're meeting with bankers, for instance, our debt financing on Nähere, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it was actually a very good conference.
But new people also show up, and this is a very positive thing.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Maybe you can fill us, or you have an idea why we have this disconnect between silver and gold. You see, gold is relatively stable at 1,200 or around 1,200, and silver is...
So one of the clearest signals for a turning point in the gold and silver business is the ratio. And the last time we were at 84 was in December of 15.
Okay.
We then actually declined earlier this year, and in 2016, down to about 73, 74. But now we're right back at the ratio of 84. Mm-hmm. And for me, that's a double top. So I don't think it is going to decline much more. And I do think we're not years away. We're a couple of months away, 2-3 months away from a turning point. Mm-hmm. And that's what the value of the ratio is. It confirms that you're bumping along bottom. You can never be sure until you lift off bottom and the ratio comes back below 80. But 80 is a significant benchmark, and I think we will see the gold and silver ratio falling once again later this year.
Mm. Do you think that this kind of stores like Barrick will buy Randgold or this Royal Nickel stuff, that they will help the market?
Absolutely, because it's easy to think that everybody's gone away from the mining sector, and they won't come back until gold is $1,500 and silver is $20. But that's not true, because we're seeing examples like the Barrick-Randgold merger. I think that it probably needed a bottom of the market to happen, but it's a very good thing for the industry, and it helps to focus the general public's attention on gold. Royal Nickel, wow. I mean, where did that come from? And you know, even though it's just a very small, nuggety find, it's worth a lot of money. And so you've seen the reaction of investors and speculators. Fantastic reaction. Everybody loves a winner.
Yeah, no, and this kind of story is really pushing the market in the direction that the intention coming back. Then at the moment it looks like that everybody in Canada is focused on cannabis. But I must say only, and I don't will talk. Everybody knows it's high valued, but maybe also it's a good thing is that everybody knows it's really high valued, but the people make money out of it, and maybe they say, okay, we don't going back to a wheat market again, and maybe take a little bit out of the profit what they make, and there are hundreds of millions profits are made.
It's not a bad thing to make money, but just beware that we've been through this many times before in different sectors. Most recently, the cryptos.
Yeah, this was 1 year ago.
And they exploded last year, and then they just all about disappeared. And if you actually look at what will happen for the industry as a whole, there will be a survivor in the crypto and blockchain business that will survive. But you had this explosion of ideas, an explosion of companies, and now we're going into a 5-year consolidation, and only the strongest will survive. Same thing is going to happen on pot. 5 years ago, I couldn't name one single pot company. Now there's 200. One of them, Tilray, last week, achieved a market capitalization of $30 billion. Now, I'm in the silver mining business. And if you look at the value of the entire silver mining business in 1 year, it's 1 billion ounces at $15. Tilray had double the market cap of the entire silver mining business worldwide for 1 year. Is that a crazy valuation or what?
Yeah, it is a great, but I see the positive side. So maybe some investors sell their Tilrays and all the other stuff and take money out of this kind of business and say, hey, what other business I know, and I see then on the resource side a so depressed market, or the valuation is so low. You can buy producers with a PE ratio of 2, 3, 4, and with a great future, and you buy it on the low end. So maybe a little bit from them side coming money in also in the market with this other news like Barrick or Royal Nickel and so on. But now we come into your company. We talk a lot about the other stuff. So what's happened with Endeavour the last 6 months?
Well, we have a tremendous number of catalysts to drive value just between now and year end. Most recently, we have been releasing great drill results. We published a pre-feasibility study on our what we consider our fifth mine, the Nähere project. We actually commissioned this year our fourth mine, El Compass, and we expect to declare commercial production in the fourth quarter. But there's 3 main takeaways for your viewers today on what's new at Endeavour. Most people looking at Endeavour for the first time would say, oh, it's a high-cost producer. And I just want to assure you that we only have one mine that is a high-cost mine. The other 2 mines are fantastically profitable. We have, however, been taking the profits from the 2 mines to try and maintain the third mine until it completes a 12-month transition from losing money to making money. And that transition is closing the first 2 ore bodies that we found 14 years ago. We're still mining them today, but now they're not as good as they were. And we've only got 12 months of reserves left. Fortunately, at Guanaceví, which is our first mine in Mexico, we have 2 other discoveries that are now finished with permitting. We did the development on one of them last year, and we start shipping ore October 1st from one of the new ore bodies at Guanaceví. Because these ore bodies are shallow and thick and rich compared to the existing ore bodies, which are deep and narrow and low grade, the costs will crash at Guanaceví. So we expect a 12-month major turnaround on both the operating and financial performance of our one mine at Guanaceví. And that will change people's perception of Endeavour as a high-cost producer. Now, then we'll become a medium-cost producer, and by this time next year, we expect to be a low-cost producer.
So it also with then you have a fourth mine in already?
And the fourth mine, El Compass, which we started commissioning in April and will finish commissioning here in October. It's our highest grade mine. The estimated all-in costs are less than $10 per ounce, and therefore, with the first full year of production next year at El Compass, clearly next year is going to look a lot better for the company than this year.
But your Jackpot is the fifth mine, the potential fifth.
So we consider that Terronera project to be the jewel in our pipeline. And our recently updated pre-feasibility study that was released 3 weeks ago is proof of that. We now have a 60 million ounce resource and reserve, still growing. We completed all of the pre-feasible engineering studies to show that this mine will become one of the lowest cost, if not the lowest cost, silver mines in the sector, with estimated cash costs of zero, net of the gold credit, and all-in sustaining cost per ounce of $1.36. So, think about that. If Terronera was operating today here at $14 silver, or $14.50 silver, and you take away $1.50 for the all-in costs, you still have a $13 per ounce free cash flow margin on Terronera today. So in 3 years' time, Terronera should represent about a third of our production. 5 of the 15 million ounces we expect to produce in 2021 will come from Terronera. But fully 2/3 of our free cash flow will come from that one mine because the costs are so low.
Wow.
Very important that we build this mine. We are at this stage waiting for the final permits from the government. We expect them in the next few weeks. We already have our cash set aside for the cash component of the construction. It's a $76 million construction period, 18 months. And we're working now on a $50 million debt facility. We already have some acceptable term sheets, so we hope to have them signed up and done by the time we go to the board for a production decision.
So when it looks like that maybe the production decision will happen this year.
Yes, we're expecting to go to the board in December. And from a high level, what does Terronera do for Endeavour? It grows our production 50% and shrinks our costs 50%, plus or minus.
Wow. Great Update. Zusammenfassung. Also der erste Teil ist vor allem darüber gegangen, um den Markt selber. Er war ja gerade in Denver unten und die Stimmung war sehr gut und er hat sich gefragt, ups, was ist denn da los? Weil normalerweise ist die Stimmung schlecht, wenn wir in der Nähe vom Tiefpunkt sind. Und das stellt sich natürlich die Frage, sind wir dann am Tiefpunkt, wenn die Stimmung so gut ist? Und er hat darüber jetzt ein bisschen nachgedacht und er hat gesagt, naja, der Unterschied zu damals ist natürlich, dass wir jetzt damals alle Produktionsprobleme gehabt haben, nämlich von der Kostenseite. Und alle hat kürzen müssen, damit die Produktion runtergekommen ist. Diesmal ist es anders. Man hat ja alle diese ganze Entwicklung gemacht. Man hat den letzten Tiefpunkt vor 2,5 Jahren gehabt. Man hat die Kosten unter Kontrolle und dadurch hat man auch jetzt nicht so ein Problem und deswegen ist die Stimmung besser. Außerdem habe ich dann gefragt, waren dort auch Institutional Investors dort? Und er hat gesagt, ja, waren auch. Er hat dort auch Gespräche, also von seinen 32 Meetings waren 18 Institutions Investors und davon waren, glaube ich, 8 oder 9, die er noch nie vorher gekannt hat und noch nie vorher getroffen hat. Also wirklich neues Blut kommt scheinbar zum Markt. Wir haben auch dann natürlich geredet, dass natürlich der Deal Barrick mit Randgold hilft oder Royal Nickel Story, dass das natürlich sehr wohl am Markt trifft. Wir haben auf kurz auch Cannabis gemacht, dass das möglicherweise auch Geld wieder zurückfließt dann in den Rohstoffsektor. Aber das Wichtige ist natürlich, was tut sich bei Endeavour selber. Und er sagt, wenn du jetzt aus neutraler, also als erstes mal drauf schaust, dann denkst du, ja, eigentlich produzieren die relativ teuer. Und das stimmt nicht. Sie produzieren von ihren 3 Minen in einer teuer, in der anderen sehr profitabel. Und der Gewinn von diesen 2 Minen wird derzeit verwendet, um quasi die eine Mine am Leben zu erhalten. Das wird sich allerdings in den nächsten 12 Monaten ändern, weil das ist ihre älteste Mine, die haben schon vor 14 Jahren entdeckt, diese Venen. Die waren damals natürlich sehr profitabel. Allerdings ist mittlerweile, dass die Produktion tiefer geht, die Venen nicht mehr so breit sind und der Gehalt Gehalt sinkt und dadurch sind die Kosten dort so hoch. Sie haben aber dort in den letzten Jahren mehrere Entdeckungen gemacht und eine davon zum Beispiel kommt jetzt im Oktober online. Das heißt, man switcht jetzt von dieser alten Produktion, von dieser Mähne auf die 2 neuen Produktionsstätten und die sind deutlich höher gerade. Also erstens mal nicht so niedrig, so tief, also die sind sehr neu an der Oberfläche. Zweitens mal die Gehalte sind höher und die Breite der Venen ist viel höher und dadurch sind die Kosten kommen, er hat gesagt, die fallen direkt zusammen und das ist genau das Interessante, was wir natürlich brauchen, dass die Kosten runterkommen und dann schauen es aus, dass nächstes Jahr natürlich ein Mid-Size-Producer sind, also Mid-Cost-Producer. Und die 4. Mine soll jetzt dann im 4. Quartal Commercial Production erreichen. Das wird eine billigste Mine sein, auch die hochgradigste Mine. Sie hat sehr hohen Gold-Content dabei und deswegen ist die natürlich sehr, sehr profitabel. Das heißt, in einem Jahr sehen wir eine ganz andere Firma aus wie jetzt, dann sind wir nicht mehr ein Hochproduzent, sondern ein sehr Niedrigproduzent oder ein Mittelproduzent. Das Kronjuwel, wie er sagt, ich habe es Jackpot genannt, ist allerdings ihre 5. Mine, Nähere die nach wie vor ihre Größe erweitert, die Ressource wird nach wie vor immer erweitert. Allerdings, wenn du das jetzt die Economics davon anschaust, dann ist diese Cashkosten liegen bei 0 und der Cashflow oder die Cashkosten liegen bei $1 oder sowas und die Break-Even-Kosten durch den hohen Content bei 0. Und wenn man das dann natürlich dann reinrechnet, sind das ungefähr auch bei jetzigen Preisen $13 Profit auf Silber gerechnet und das ist natürlich der Wahnsinn. Diese Mine wird ein Drittel ihrer Produktionsstätte darstellen und wird die Overall-Kosten um 50% reduzieren. Also unglaublich, wie es dann 2021 und so weiter ausschauen soll. Die Produktionsentscheidung soll noch in diesem Jahr fallen, dann haben sie ungefähr 18 Monate Konstruktionsperiode und das heißt, wir werden 2020 wird die in Produktion gehen und 2021 fährt man dann die richtige Ernte ein. Spannende Sache, ich habe das Wichtigste, was ich vergessen habe, ich bin Aktionär, sorry, I forgot this in the beginning. I have a conflict of interest. I'm a shareholder, and that's I must say. It's coming to my mind now. Conflict of interest. Ich bin natürlich Aktionär von dem Unternehmen. Das war's von Endeavour Silver, September 2018, Vancouver. Tschüss und Baba. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet.